Hey guys, this is going to be an episode of Smart-Arse Gamer. I'm not really sure what episode it is right now, but it's an episode of Smart-Arse Gamer regardless. And I'm making this video in response to KainBringingtheGame's, see I said game, I said it, video, which is Gamer Talk episode 1, I guess. And he's talked about next-gen titles and a few of the issues that were brought up, and it was kind of interesting. He got very angry, which is something that I was very surprised at. He was very, very angry, you know. It's kind of weird. Anyway, yeah. So this is going to be talking about that. I'm going to retort to a few of his points. I'm going to use some visual, whatever. Just a quick update though. At the moment, the Batman Arkham Origins uploads have stopped. What I want to do is I want to finish the game, which I still haven't done, by the way, and I still need to do the rest of the side content, and then I want to get all the videos rendered out, and then I want to finish my review and upload my review, or render my review, and then once everything's rendered, then I will continue uploading the rest of the content. Once I can start uploading the rest of the content, what I can do is I can delete all the original footage and start recording something new, because I want to play something new, but I've decided I don't really want to play a new game if I'm not recording it. I know this kind of limits me, but what I do in this time is that I play multiplayer games like Dota 2, as you can see right here. If you enjoyed this gameplay, by the way, just please let me know. I'll probably record a little bit more, I don't know, whatever. Also, this probably is going to be jump cutted a little bit, as in my audio is going to be a little bit jump cutted. And that's not for any particular reason other than the fact that, if you didn't know, I have dyspraxia. So dyspraxia, it's a mental thing, which basically means that I have a very poor short-term memory. I have a very poor working memory, which means that I can't, as I'm talking. See, I'm doing it right now. As I'm talking, I can't build what I'm going to say in my head. It takes me a long time, so I end up basically making up what I'm going to say, and I have these mental breakdowns. Well, not an actual mental breakdown, but like a brain fart basically, and I have them all the time. And so I want to do jump cuts because I really want to retort to Kain's points very specifically, and I want to get it through in a way that I want to. I don't want to just ramble. So I probably will just kind of and R a little bit, but I'm going to make sure that I'm going to edit it down and keep retaking it so that I get through to Kain what I want to say. So the first point that Kain makes in his video, so basically if you haven't watched it, I'll link it in the description. Unfortunately you can't do video replies anymore, which is stupid. Thank you YouTube for ruining YouTube once more. But basically, you can't do video replies anymore, which kind of sucks. But what he was saying was, I just messed it up completely. It doesn't matter. I can keep going. What he was saying was that he doesn't understand, because this is a point that myself and Anthony on Gamer Talk Live last week we made, was that like graphics don't sell consoles, specs don't sell consoles, it's the games, and that point is very valid, and I'm very surprised that he doesn't understand this concept. Like let me put it in a way, like the way when we and Anthony were using it, we were saying that the way me and Anthony were using it, we were saying that people were arguing about the difference between the two consoles, between Xbox One and PS4. People going, oh my god, the Call of Duty Ghosts is only 720p on Xbox One, it must suck, it's 1080p on PS4, and it's like, oh my god, it's such a big deal, blah 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 blah. And the point that we were trying to make is, people aren't going to choose, unless all you play is Call of Duty or all you play is Battlefield 4, and you literally are going to use that console for nothing else. No one is going to buy a PS4 just because it's a higher resolution for Call of Duty Ghosts. No one is going to do that, and if they do, they're a fucking idiot. Like, it's that simple. But you mean to tell me, Nate, that if Mass Effect 4 was announced as like an Xbox One exclusive, it's going to be an Xbox One and no other console, even if it ran at 30 frames per second, you want me to tell me that you would not be buying that game? I call bullshit. I call bullshit, because you love that series. You love that series more than anything. It's like, it's that simple. It's the same with me. I'm buying a PS4 because I know that if there's any chance of another Sly Cooper game, it's going to be exclusive to PS4. So I have no choice but to buy into the console. Further, I'm really looking forward to the other games coming out on the PS4. Sucker Punch coming out with Infamous Second Son. I love Infamous because it's by one of my favourite publishers and developers, Sucker Punch and Sony. I find myself going to a lot of the exclusives that PS4 and PlayStation have. I can't wait for the PS4 title by Quantic Dream after what they showed off at E3 with that cool demo thing with all the magic and stuff, and it turns out to be like a set or something like that. I'm really looking forward to that. Naughty Dog, I may not be a fan of Uncharted, but I was a really big fan of The Last of Us. I really enjoyed that game. So why would I not buy a PS4 because I'm looking forward to what Naughty Dog? Now you could retort this and say, oh well, none of these games have been announced yet. And it's like, yeah, you make a fair point, but there are still a few games, like you've said, there are a few games, like you had for the Wii U. There are a few games that I am interested in for launch, like Knack, like Killzone Shadowfall, like Infamous Second Son, which comes out, whatever, like Destiny, the beta of which starts out at 2014. Titanfall obviously comes out on Xbox One and PS4. That's a big reason why someone would be excited for the Xbox One. I think if you want a PC gamer, I think you should my honest opinion is that if you aren't a PC gamer, you should get an Xbox One just to play Titanfall. If you're an FPS fan, that is. If you're a big fan of FPSs and you're not a PC gamer, you should be buying Titanfall. You should be buying an Xbox One for Titanfall. That's just my honest opinion. But there's plenty of reasons for me to want to get this PS4, and they're all games. It's nothing to do with the resolution. Nothing to do with the resolution at all. I'm just really excited for the games, and that's what we mean by games sell consoles. Not the resolution. Not the specs. You know, I'm not gonna, 13 years aren't gonna pass by. I'm gonna look back at this yet and I think, oh, do you remember Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3? Oh yes, what shit resolution that game had. What shit resolution that game had. No, I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, that game had a really addictive multiplayer, but it got kind of boring after a while. I'm gonna be talking about the features that the game had. I'm not gonna be talking about the specs. It's the same thing. I can look back 13 years ago now. 13 years ago, I was playing the first Sly Cooper game 13 years ago. I was playing the first Sly Cooper game. No, in fact, that wasn't 13 years ago. That was 10 years ago. But still, point still stands. 10 years ago, I was playing the first Sly Cooper game, and I was sneaking through the ship and the canyons, and I was taking on the Fiendish Five as Sly Cooper with Bentley and Murray, and it was such an exciting experience. It looked like shit, but that's not what I remember, because that's called nostalgia goggles. The point is that games are made for their features, not for their specs. So the next thing that Nate does is he pulls a what if out of his arse. He says, what if Xbox One announced their online only, always online thing, and it had gone down a huge success and everyone was really excited. PS4 would have done the same. What I can say about that is, of course they would. You know, that's a given. That's the point. Because then the idea is that the gamer wants it to be online only. You know, Sony wouldn't be for the gamer if they weren't supporting what the gamer wanted, which was apparently online only, seeing as it went really well with Microsoft. You know? Now the point you're making is Sony were you were saying Sony were planning on doing it. Who can say that? Honestly. Who can say that Sony were planning on implementing an online-only scheme for the PS4? You don't work at Sony. You can't make that assumption. You know, you're grasping at straws. This is completely... It's complete conjecture. It's just complete conjecture. There's no way you can make that assumption. You know, I could say, oh, yeah, if Xbox One had come out and said, all our games are going to be at 144p. No, 144 pixels high. And the gamers had come out and said, oh yes, 144 pixels high. We don't want any of that high definition shit. We want pixels all over the screen. We want to see them all, individually. Sony would have done the same because that's for the gamers and that's what they want. You know? Sony would have been like, oh, friggin' 144 pixels, we need to provide that because otherwise Microsoft have a USP above us. You know? That's why Microsoft had no choice but to turn around and say, going back to the actual reality now, that's why Microsoft had no choice but to turn around and say, oh, we're not doing online only anymore, because that's not for the gamers. Sony would have had a USP over them. You know, people take gambles, people make marketing decisions. It just doesn't work, sometimes. But, like I said, you can't just assume and make conjecture that Sony will plan to do the same thing. You just can't do that. Whether you call me naive or not, I don't care. Because you can't confidently say that Sony were planning on implementing online only. Might Sony, but like I just said, if online only had gone down an absolute storm with the gaming community, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, online only is the best thing ever," they would have done it. They would have implemented it if they hadn't already. Whatever. So then Nate goes on about a video that he actually retweeted from Vancy's yesterday, and I watched this video, and clearly Kain doesn't know what it is because he's only watched that Blackbomb video, he's not watched any other video, so he's made a massive mistake already because he hasn't watched the original source content. So how you can comment without watching the source content, you know, again, it's like, how can you make these assumptions, like, whatever. Okay, but I can comment on this because not only have I watched the source content, I've played the fucking game. You know, I've played it. I've played the exact place that they are. You know, I've used the exact same weapons. You know, and basically what he's talking about is Black Bond, whoever this guy is. I have no idea what his name is, or who he is, whatever. Bleh. But he remixes a video called a remix video by Digital Foundry. Well, it's on Eurogamer, but it's a Eurogamer article regarding Digital Foundry versus Dead Rising 3. And basically, what it is Digital Foundry get their hands on copy Dead Rising 3, Xbox One, and they frame rate test it. So they play the game and they're slashing at zombies and stuff like that, and they're going crazy. Like literally going crazy and like using all the weapons and things like that, and looking at the frame rate. And granted, the game doesn't stay at constant 30 frames per second. It does have for long periods stay at constant 30 frames per second with still action going on. There's still a good 30 frames per second, but there are also periods where it drops down to maybe about 22, 20, and then the odd instance it drops below 20 frames per second. At one point, as Kain mentions, it drops to 16 frames per second. But Kain makes it sound like the game, he says, well, the game plays at 16 frames per second. No, it doesn't. It plays above 20 frames per second most of the time, and 30 frames per second some of the time. But again, people don't buy games for the specs. People don't buy games for the frames per second. If you actually watch the video, in fact, I don't even have to tell you to watch the video because I'm going to put it in the video right here. No, right here. It's going in. So, I'll start talking again now. Does this game look unplayable to you? Does it? Honestly, don't look at the numbers. Look at the game. Does it look unplayable to you? Does it look like you can't see exactly what you're doing? Further, does this game look impressive to you? Keep in mind that this game is one of the first zombie games with a full open world, full vehicles, no loading screens whatsoever. Imagine GTA 5 but filled with zombies. Obviously it's not as big as GTA 5, it's probably a lot smaller, because I doubt it could be as big as GTA 5. But this is the first ever open world zombie game Horde style. Of course, you've got things like DayZ, but DayZ isn't a Horde-style zombie game. It's a survival game with very limited zombies. There's a big difference. DayZ could never handle the amount of zombies that are present in this game right here. Can you see how many models there are on the screen? This is what I mean about people It's not about the specs, it's about the game. It's about the features that are here. No one is, in 13 years' time, no one is going to look back at Dead Rising 3 and think, oh, the frame rate was shit on that game. Oh, it was shit. No, they're going to think, oh, wow, an open world zombie game where I can drive vehicles and smash cars about and dress up as a dragon and fly into loads of zombies. And there's like 150 zombies on the screen at once. Oh my god, that's fucking amazing. That's what's going to happen. Look at this game looks amazing. And you know what else? I've played the game, you know? I can say, did the game ever feel unplayable? No. I played the game at Eurogamer and I waited an hour in line to play it. Like, literally, I was so excited to play it. I waited for an hour. And at Eurogamer, there was zombies walking around everywhere, and there was this guy with like a circular saw sticking out of his chest, and sorry, I just hit the camera. Obviously, it was makeup and whatever, but I was really excited because Microsoft put a lot of effort into advertising it. They'd gotten a lot of cosplayers involved, things like that. They'd actually done the same thing for Resident Evil 6 the year before, but whatever, let's not talk about that. But the fact is, I was really excited to play it, and once I got in there, I had a blast. Oh my god. It was so much fun. Like, I was doing all this shit. I was driving, like, motorcycles with a steamroller thing on the front. I was dressing up as a dragon, flying into zombies and stuff like that. I never thought, this game has an unplayable frame rate. I am not happy. Look at this unplayable frame rate game. You know, that's not what happened at all. You know? It just... Like, I had a blast. Like, if you were to ask me my honest opinion, Dead Rising 3 was the second best gameplay demo that I played at Eurogamer. The best being Titanfall. The only game that I queued up to play twice, and the queue was like an hour and a half. Like, seriously, like, it's so much fun. And that's why people are going to play it. They're not going to not play it. Because because apparently, according to Digital Foundry, it drops to 16 frames per second sometime. That's not going to change someone's mind. It's about the features. It's about the fact that Dead Rising 3 is going to be the first open world zombie game with a real scope. You know, remember when you first played Fallout 3 and it was filled with stuff, and you get out of the vault and you just blinding light and then you see the world. It's the same kind of thing. It's the scope that it has. It's like it's taking a successful franchise and saying, we're going to make it better. Further, I don't mean to make excuses or anything. And I'm sure Kain is already aware of this, and I don't want to insult him, so I'm just going to say I'm sure you're already aware of this. But it's a launch title. You know, this is a title that's being made by Capcom for the launch of Xbox One. It's got an exclusivity deal with Microsoft. It's going to be rushed out. It's not going to be as optimized as it possibly could be. That's just fact. Is it unfortunate? Yeah, of course it is. Of course it's unfortunate that it can't be running at the frame rate and the resolution that it might be able to do if they had more time with the game. But they don't. You know, that's the fact. But the fact is that the specs don't ruin what is already there. As from the gameplay shown, I didn't see anything in that video that actually looked unplayable. The only reason you would say it was unplayable is if you are focusing on the numbers. I played the game. Again, there was nothing that I played that said Dead Rising 3 is an unplayable game. It's not unplayable. Again, it's bullshit. But whatever. The next thing that Kain goes on about, I don't mean to say goes on, but it is going on. The next thing that Kain goes on about is talks about how gaming media and how they interpret different things, and talks about the terms of service for the PS4 and how it went over the whole reselling thing, and then how they tried to make it sound like the PS4 wouldn't be able to have content on YouTube, and they try and make it sound like the whole HDCP thing is. Like, I know, like, I'm sure, again, I hope at least he knows this, but, you know, third-party news sites aren't saying this to say, oh, fuck the Xbox One, we're gonna report bad news about it and make it sound like it's way worse than it actually is. It's like, they're not trying to do that, they're just trying to make a shocking article sound as bad as it possibly can so that it increases hits on the webpage. You know, they want the people if they make the article sound like you're not going to be able to put footage on YouTube from the PS4, then Mr. Uninformed Gamer, Mr. Unintelligent Gamer is going to share this to all his friends like, oh my god, you're not going to be able to get PS4 footage on YouTube, oh my god, tell everyone, link them all this page, instant more ad revenue, like more page hits, you know, that's why they do that shit. You know, I'm just saying this, like, it's not even pertinent to the rest of the topic, but I'm just saying that's why they do that shit. You know, it's not because they're saying, oh, fuck Sony, we're going to report this bad news about the PS4. You know, that's not why they do that. And then Nate comes out and says, oh yeah, it's all about the games. And he makes that funny voice, which is why I've been making funny voices throughout the entire thing, and now my throat's kind of hurting, but whatever. Because it is all about the games. It's about the new experiences that the games give. It's not about the resolutions or the specs, and I hope I've made that clear by now. That's the reason why people buy new games. Like, I'm not going to buy a game on PS4 just because it's 1080p and 60 frames per second. You know, I'm not going to buy Barbie Horse Adventures because it's 1080p and 60 frames per second. If I loved horses, and I do love ponies, but not the same thing, if I loved horses and I loved Barbie, then I'd buy that game because, oh my god, I get to stroke this horse as Barbie, and I get to ride the horse as Barbie around Barbie's Adventureland and jump over all these posts and things and go on adventures with Barbie and my horse. It's like, oh my god, do you remember that Barbie game from 13 years ago? And it was so amazing. You got to take the horse and you got to go around everywhere. That's why people play games, and that's why people buy games. People don't buy games to look at them. Sure, if you're a videophile and you're like, oh, this game looks amazing, but if you do that, you're a PC gamer anyway, you know. Big deal. Whatever. Let's carry on. So, again, Nate talked about the games, and he says the only game he's interested in PS4 is Knack, which, frankly, I'm really happy about, because Knack's an amazing game. I played this game at Eurogamer, and it's actually really good. I really enjoyed it because it was very punishing as a platformer. At the moment, reviews are coming out for it, it's being panned, saying it's too difficult, blah 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 blah. It's punishing, you know, and it harks back to the old Crash Bandicoot games, which is funny because I'm sure it was made by the guy who worked on Crash Bandicoot. I wonder what they're going for. Oh yeah, they're going for the people who have been playing the game. You know, they've been playing on the PlayStation for its entire lifespan. You know, that's the point. That's why they developed the game. Or at least that's why I hope they developed the game. I think they also developed the game as to be a kind of they developed the game to kind of be like a show off the specs. I'm pretty sure that don't quote me on this. I have no idea. I haven't got the game. I actually have Call of Duty Ghosts PS4 edition. I didn't actually comment on that when Nate was talking about it. I can't comment on that because I haven't seen any gameplay from the PS4 version. If it does stutter, if it does have gameplay stutters, and that's a shame. And if I notice it, then I'll probably mention it in my review, because I want to review every PS4 game that I play. But yeah, you know, past that. As I was saying, I think Knack is 1080p, 60 frames per second. From what I could tell, it was I think it was 1080p, and it didn't look like it dropped below 30 frames per second at least. I don't know if I can tell the difference between 60 frames per second and 30 frames per second. I'm certain I can tell between the two, but I can't look at a video and say, oh, that's 60 frames per second. I just can't do it. Sorry, I just burped. And then I'm going to show you another thing, which totally, you know, it's like, just watch it. Please, just look at this gameplay. Why am I putting on that voice still? Look at this gameplay and tell me that does not look next gen. That is 60 frames per second, 1080p. And it looks gorgeous. It probably looks way worse on YouTube. I'm going to put a link in the description of where you can download the high bitrate version. The fact is that you can't watch this video on a web player in full quality. That's why Killzone have put it up for download on their own website. This game looks gorgeous. This is why you would buy if you're bothered about resolution and frame rate, this is a reason to buy next gen, because the game looks fucking awesome. Seriously, this game looks amazing. So again, another reason why you'd buy a PS4. Resogun, contrast. If you're not PC gamer and you want higher quality games, then again, that's why you would buy. Because games are only going to get better on PS4. They're not going to get any worse. And judging by this, like, this is good. Games aren't going to be any better on PS3 and Xbox 360 than they are on PS4 and Xbox One. Although, I guess Xbox 360 does have 60 frames per second Call of Duty, but you know what I mean. Like, hopefully, they're going to be the same. But yeah, plenty of reason. But of course, at this point, Kain is just talking about his own preferences, about what he feels, so it's not really pertinent again. So I kind of struggled to understand what Nate was trying to get at in the next part, but I think he was talking about the fact that there was nothing in launch window that he was interested in for the PS4 and the Xbox One, and that's a given. Oh, fuck's sake. I wonder if that came over I'm going to leave that in because it'll be hilarious if it did. Mike, your sausages are burning. Blah, blah, blah. But whatever. Basically, I think what Nate was trying to get across was the fact that when Wii U came out, he said when he was interested in some of the launch titles that came out, but there was no guarantee that games are going to come out in the future. And it's the same thing with the PS4 and the Xbox One. There's no guarantee that like third-party games that you're going to be interested in are going to come out on the PS4 and Xbox One. And I would disagree with that. The fact is that the Wii had little to no third-party support. With the Wii U, Nintendo had to absolutely fight to try and tell people, the Wii U is going to have third-party support like that. But end up not doing, because people that it's just difficult to develop for, and it's last-gen technology. People aren't interested in it. I imagine that what happened was that most third-party developers thought, okay, so we already have our developer kits for the Xbox One and the PS4, which we're already developing our games to work on. Do we really want to take on yet another version of... do we really want to take on another version of the games? Sorry, this is my dyspraxia coming in. Do we really want to take on another dev kit to develop our games for? And the answer is probably going to be no, because they probably couldn't afford it, and the sales wouldn't have been good enough because there wasn't a high enough interest in the Wii U. So what ended up happening was Ubisoft, who apparently did like the Wii U, they developed a game for it, clearly, so they must have been in partnership with Nintendo from the beginning, or from a very early start. And there was other titles that were developed and ported over by pretty niche developers that you'd never heard of before. Ported was Mass Effect and Batman Arkham City. Those games were ported, and the ports ended up sucking. But that's not the point. But the ports did end up sucking. It's kind of what I expected to happen. It's why I didn't buy a Wii U. The only reason I wanted a Wii U was Zombie U, because I thought that was the only game that I played on the Wii U really properly, and I found it kind of interesting. I probably would have liked a challenging game like that, but it ended up not picking up well. I don't know. Whatever. So I guess that's kind of the idea, but I disagree with it. I think there is a guarantee that games are going to come out on the PS4 and the Xbox One because people are going to buy the PS4 and the Xbox One, so developers are going to develop games for it. It's just that kind of thing. If people are going to develop games for it because people are going to buy it, and then if people buy it, and then one developer develops games for the PS4, and the developer is developing games for the PS3 and the Xbox 360, then people aren't going to buy that developer's games. They're going to buy the developer's games who are buying games for the PS4 because that's the newest content. That's the newest console. That's the hottest thing right now. It's more than just. You can't really compare the two directly because they have totally different mindsets around them. Like the Wii and Nintendo, they're still seen as the guys who they have first party games that come out and they're the same game every time. I know Nate went on a rant about this and said that literally, if you're talking literally, well, the point is that Nintendo first-party games don't offer new experiences. They offer the same experiences but improved. No matter how improved it is, Pokemon X and Y is the same game as Pokemon Blue, Red and Green. Like, you literally, there's no new experience to it. You still catch Pokemon, you battle in exactly the same way. But the battle system is improved. Whatever. There's not going to be. I haven't seen a new Pokemon game. No matter how many Reddit posts you see where it's like, please, like, make a new Pokemon Snap game using the Wii U. Like, literally, if they made a Pokemon Snap game, which is Pokemon Snap 2 for the Wii U, like, I would be all over that shit. Like, literally, I would probably buy a Wii U at that point because I love Pokemon Snap. I love the old one. Either that, I would probably buy a second-hand one and then rent the Pokemon Snap 2 game, or you know what I mean. But like, I would be interested because it would be a cool idea. Or if they decide, let's make a next-gen Pokemon game like Skyrim but with Pokemon. No matter how many Reddit posts you see, they're never going to do that. I don't know why. I don't know why this is, because it's like it's a license to print money. But Nintendo don't do that. They stick to the same formulas, but they improve them slightly year on year, or every 2 years, or whatever. That's why people say the same thing about Call of Duty. Call of Duty doesn't offer any new experiences. They offer the same experiences, but they improve them slightly. It's not exactly the same game, but it's pretty similar. That's the point that people make. So what I'm trying to say is that, you know, dyspraxia. God damn it, dyspraxia. This video has been going on for 30 minutes. Oh, I'm so proud. Basically, you can't just directly compare the two situations. They're totally different situations. PS4 and Xbox One have a practically guaranteed buy purchaser base, whereas Wii U people had to convince people to buy Wii U's, because the only people that bought Wii's were either people who really enjoyed Nintendo games already, in which case they're probably already going to buy the Wii U regardless. I know my OJ, he's bought every single Nintendo game ever, like on day one, on launch day. So he was going to buy a Wii U because he's a big Nintendo fan. He likes the old Nintendo games. He likes the idea of them improving on tried and true formulas. You know, that's what he enjoys. And then families who they really have to convince to buy because they've just bought a Wii and they've bought a ton of games for them, and now Nintendo want them to buy another games console, and they want them to, you know, like it's not got any motion control anymore. It has some, and you can use it with it, but like it's not got as much motion control or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's two very different situations, so I don't feel like you can compare them the same. Obviously, on a personal level, you probably could do, as you're talking. I think you are talking on a personal level, but again, I'm just talking like you can. Part of this is response. Part of this is just rambling, basically. But yeah, I think you're talking on a personal level. So then Nate says something that I really do not understand. And he talks about, I don't know why he brings these up, it's completely unrelated to what he's talking about at the moment. I think he's just talking about gaming in general, but he talks about downloadable content, and he talks about microtransactions, and he talks about pay to win, and he says, I'm really not looking forward to the next generation console. I don't understand why those things are related, but I'm just going to say, I saw on Twitter not a day ago, Nate say, I'm really enjoying League of Legends. I played for about 3 hours today, and I can see myself leveling up to level 30. Like, I can see myself doing it. That game would not exist without microtransactions. At all. It would not exist because it's not free to play. Just free to play in general isn't a viable method of playing a game without advertisements. And even advertisements aren't that viable anymore. Like, literally, you have to have some sort of, like... And then the gamers are wanting that as well. You know, the games want that as well. Gamers want that shit. I love microtransactions. Again, this is Dota 2, which you're looking at right now. I've probably spent about maybe £50 to £60 on Dota 2. Dota 2 works where you can pay for tickets to watch tournaments, or keys to open chests which drop when you're playing the game that contain cosmetic items, or you can just buy cosmetic items, or you can buy hoods, or you can buy announcer packs like Pyrian Flax, or GLaDOS from the Portal series, or the narrator from Bastion. Like, people like this kind of customization of free-to-play games, and they want that kind of thing. You know, it's a way to give back to a really good free-to-play game that you've played. It's like we want some new features, like we want custom announcers, we want custom HUDs, that kind of thing. And this wouldn't happen if, so developers have turned around and said, okay, well, we'll charge you for that. And this is the same thing that happened with downloadable content as well. We'll charge you for that, and then we'll make it. And it's the same thing that happened with downloadable content. Oblivion. Let's take Oblivion for example. Oblivion comes out, oh my god, it goes down a hit, Oblivion's amazing. Oh my god, we want more content for Oblivion. Shivering Isles comes out, £9 or something stupid like that. £15, whatever price it was. But it was more of the same game, and that's the same thing with DLC. How is it? I don't understand how it's a bad thing. Of course, all these things can be done badly. Microtransactions can be done badly. You know, pay to win. Pay to win is a really big thing. Personally, in my personal opinion, I consider League of Legends pay to win, because you can pay money to unlock all the rest of the heroes, and there's only a set pool of free-to-play heroes which rotates every so often. And I don't like that, because I feel that in a MOBA, if you are to learn how each hero, all the capabilities, all the strengths of each hero, then you have to play as that hero. It's not enough to watch a gameplay. Or watching a gameplay can get you so far. What I tend to like to do is I like to watch a gameplay of someone, specifically Purge, who's a Purge Gamer's YouTube channel. Go and watch him. He's a really good Dota player. But I watch a video of Purge playing a game on Dota, and then I go and play it because I can play any hero I want. But you can't do that, so I feel like League of Legends is in a way unfair, because all you have to do is buy a new character like Jinx. Say so you bought Jinx, who just came out. People have no idea what it's capable of, or at least I wouldn't have any idea what they're capable of because I haven't played as them. And then there you go. Like literally, like the guy, I would be at a disadvantage if I was against a Jinx player. So in that case, I would consider League of Legends pay to win. Of course, if you enjoy the game a lot, then you're probably going to earn points and maybe buy characters that you've already unlocked. I know a lot of people play League of Legends enough that they can just buy every character using the in-game currency. And that's kind of cool. Again, other things can be done. DLC can be done badly. EA is a prime example of this. Microsoft with Fable 3. A die pack. Yes, DLC die pack. You know, something that should have been in the game. You know, people who bring out DLC that should have been in the game from the beginning. And it's something that I have a big problem with, and it's something that can be done badly. But is DLC itself inherently a bad thing because this is done badly? Not at all. You know, DLC offers some really interesting ways that games can be continuously improved. In my opinion, I think they should make a free-to-play Call of Duty game, and then just make map packs and have it last for like 5 years. I think that would be like a really big money maker, where they constantly made like unlockable. They constantly developed weapons to add into the game. They constantly developed like skins and things like that, and all the weapons were free. Like every time they made a new weapon, the weapon was free, and you could pay for like new. You could pay for new camos and stuff for it. I think that would be really good. I think that'd be a really good game, because you would have that way. Infinity Ward would then, with their maybe another half of the team, they could go and they could try something different with the Call of Duty series, because they already have that kind of free-to-play model for the Call of Duty multiplayer that everyone knows and loves, and they're making a decent amount of money with it. They'd probably review it after a couple of years. Activision would probably review it and say, is this making more money or less money? Is it building up steam? Than just making a yearly release. And honestly, I don't think it would do, because free-to-play isn't that big of a thing right now. There's still a big thing about, I pay $60 for a game or £40 for a game, and I have that game outright, you know, whatever. You know, like, there's still that thing out there, so it wouldn't be as popular. But free-to-play games are gaining steam, gaining steam. Like Dota 2 is the most played game on Steam all the time. Dota 2 is the most played game on Steam, which goes to say free-to-play games get popular. Team Fortress 2 is the second most played game on Steam because it's free to play. You know, free-to-play games are popular. There's a reason why RuneScape became massively popular, because it was free-to-play, and you could pay a little bit of extra money, and you got access to all the extra land and stuff like that. So if you really like the game, then you could pay for the creation of all the extra land, and then you could use all the extra land, and you could try the new things which required a little bit better servers, things like that. You know, it's been going for a long time, and free-to-play is the future. Microtransactions are the future, so I don't see how you can consider it a bad thing. Like I said, again, I'll reiterate, if it's done badly, then obviously that's a bad thing. But microtransactions DLC isn't inherently badly because companies decide to instantiate it poorly. So this Dota game is actually coming to an end, so I'm gonna have to kind of hurry up. But Nate goes on. He gets kind of angry here. It's quite funny, actually. I kind of enjoyed it. He talks about how uneducated consumers. He talks about how when the PS3 came out, people freaked out how it was $600 for a PS3. Actually, when the PS3 came out, I bought it on launch. Well, my mum bought it for me on launch as a Christmas present because I was spoiled as fuck as a child. But that's not the point. But it was £500 plus a few games and a few Blu-rays for me. But people were apparently freaking out when it was $600, whatever, and that people don't pay attention to the specs. And it's like, well, he's kind of contradicting himself in a way. He's admitting that people don't. He's admitting that people don't pay attention to the specs, and that's because they don't care about the specs, which is my kind of point exactly. People don't care about specs because specs don't sell consoles. Games sell consoles. You know, people don't care about the specs. They're not interested in the specs. They're interested in new games that are going to be on it from people that they know. You know, is Infinity Ward making a new game for the PS4 only? Fuck me, I'm getting that game. You know, they don't really care if it only has one USB port. You know, like, I'm not. Fucking hell. Xbox One only has 3 USB ports. I'm not buying that anymore. Fuck that. Only 3 USB ports. Shit. You know what I mean? Like, so, granted. Like, it was worth it. It was worth the money. But honestly, that was Sony's mistake, you know? Because people don't give a fuck about specs. They care about games. Which is why... Oh my god, that music's coming on again. Hang on 1 second. As I was saying, people don't care about specs, which is why Sony made a massive mistake filling the PS3 with tech and then selling it for $300, for $600. That was their mistake, which is why they came out a couple of years later, made a cheaper version. They came out, 3 months later and brought one with a smaller hard drive, and they was no longer able to be backwards compatible with PS2 games. You know? Seriously. Like, need I say more? Like, this is what they made a marketing mistake because people don't care. And I think this, while I'm saying this, I think this is actually kind of Nate's point, is that people are stupid. And he's saying that people should care about what they buy and make sure that it's running at a reliable frame rate and things like that. And what I have to say is that I don't know about the US. I have no idea about the US, but in the UK we're partially protected in this case. We have what is called the Sale of Goods Act. And the Sale of Goods Act is basically there to make sure that the customer is protected when it comes to trade and they're treated to an unfair trade. And basically what it means is that we have a legal right to a refund, a repair, or a replacement if A, it does not match the description of what we were sold, it is not of satisfactory quality, so if it doesn't meet quality standards like the British Kite Mark, that kind of thing, and if it's the big one, if it's not fit for purpose. And it's something that you'll find that Total Biscuit brings up a few times in many of his videos, is that a lot of the times games are not fit for purpose. For example, you could argue that a game with a game-breaking bug, so if Arkham Origins, Nate knows about this, if Arkham Origins came out and it had that game-breaking bug in, with the Hatter guy, the Mad Hatter, and that main game-breaking bug was in the game and it was a guaranteed bug, always happened, and Warner Brothers Montreal had no intention of fixing that bug and it was going to be in that, I could claim that that game is not fit for purpose because it was advertised that would be a game that I'd be able to complete. It's implied that I can complete the game. You know, that is an implied purpose that this game is there to play and that I'll have access to all the content. Blah 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 blah. But it wouldn't be fit for purpose if and I could take it back to the store, the shop, whatever, and say this game isn't fit for purpose. I demand a refund. And if they refuse to give me that refund, I could take them to court, like easily. I could take them to court, and they wouldn't have a leg to stand on because, knowing me, I would have documented when they say, "Oh, we refuse to fix this bug," and this is why they have to fix bugs, by the way, because there are places with these Sales of Goods Acts which protect them, and they would lose sales. Like I could ask my money back easily, but like that, there's a reason like why people can be ignorant in certain places. I assume that it's not the same in America. But again, it all comes down to the fact that people don't buy games for specs, and it's something that Nate is trying to say, is that I think it's his own opinion mixed in, but it feels like there should be everyone else's opinion as well, is that if the game is not running at 60 frames per second or whatever, blah 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 blah, and with the exception to the Call of Duty Ghosts thing, which I have no idea how that runs. Again, I can't comment on it. I have no idea. If it's just a stutter, then I can kind of see it's okay. But again, I can't comment on it. But with the exception of that, like, they don't guarantee frame rates, you know. But when developers come out, they don't say, "Oh, it's going to be a frame rate." It's just got to be playable. That's all it's got to be. And I consider Dead Rising 3 playable, and consider everything else playable, you know. And that's good enough for most people. You know, I don't buy games for specs. That's what I mean. It's about the games. It's not about the specs. Whatever. So yeah, this is the final bit. And I promise this is the final bit. This is when Nate gets really angry, and he says that he doesn't understand how people can defend ignorance. How people can defend. People buying things and then complain afterwards. Firstly, I have yet to see, and I've played Xbox One games. You know, I've played Forza 5, I've played Killer Instinct, I've played Red Rising 3. You know, I've played FIFA 14, I've played Knack, and I have played Octodad Deadliest Catch. And I've yet to see a next gen game which is legitimately broken. People complained about the PS3 being $600 because there was no launch games. There was Resistance Fall of Man, there was MotorStorm. Those are the only two that I can even remember. I'm sure there's another one, but that's the only two I can even remember because there's no launch games. There's no games because people don't give a fuck about specs. People care about games, and there's plenty of games on both consoles which all look a lot of fun. So that's my reply to Gamer Talk episode 1 or 31, whatever. This has been now nearly 50 minutes long before you upload it tonight, and it's going to take ages to upload. Oh yeah, really long upload. I think that's everything. I'm glad I got everything out. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you've watched this long, you get a medal. Medal for you, sir. Medal. So yeah, that's been Hazard. That's been Smart-Arse Gamer. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for listening. See you later. Bye.